Hi, this is something for you to consider about the individual dynamics of the genetic constitution of the iris. The Rayid model primarily has four different categories of iris constitutions. Like fingerprints, there are an infinite number of combinations and varieties. But in the Rayid model, we talk about jewel, the brown dot pattern, flower, the open webs throughout, shaker, which is where you get a jewel or two in combination with flowers, and then you have the kinesthetic or the stream, which does not really have a visible jewel or flower, and it has a construct of density throughout, an evenness throughout. So these four different iris constitutions, they relate to many different things. They come from different parts of the family tree, and they correspond to all the energetic systems of the body and the mind, and we could discuss them at length. But we won't today. We'll just discuss primarily one of them. I'm going to take you in a moment to just discussing the shaker pattern and the postures. This explanation has to do about the postures. We're going to go through four different sequential energetic postures. So there is a posture that we will use first, and that's the shaker pattern. There's a posture we will use second, which is a flower pattern. There is a posture that we will use third, that's a kinesthetic pattern. And then finally, we end up with the fourth posture, which is jewel. So we'll take them through shaker, flower, and I'll just do it while sitting down. Goes out to stream, 45 degrees down, and comes back up into jewel at the heart level. Four different postures in sequence. There'll be much explanation about why this sequence is the potentially ideal one to interface the different systems of the body. So we're going to, as a group, experiment with doing these individually while keeping the composite of a group of 25 that we're actually doing it for each other. So the postures are a kinesthetic way of interfacing the physical body with our feelings. So each one of these four different postures will have a kinesthetic location that's also associated with a posture, and it also has a movement as it moves to the next location, and it moves to the third and fourth locations. It has gestures and movements. Gestures are a primary language of the shaker. Postures are the primary language of the stream. These two are energetically related to each other. Now, if you want to use other principles in physics, in all of the known physical world, there are four primary energies that regulate physical matter. They're oftentimes called electromagnetic, and this is the relationship of electro and magnetic. We also have gravity, which is a downward mobilized holding, and we have shaker, which is an upward mobility. This is called force. Electromagnetic, gravity, and force. When these four energies are combined, it produces all the circulation that produces attraction of electrons and protons and biochemistry and the physical functions of the body. All of the physics of the physical body are composed of these. But the same physics also exists at a higher level when we're talking about mind and emotion. We're talking about cohesiveness or belonging. We're talking about acceleration or progress or movement. So the physics of these four are also combined through the different levels of the chakras in the spirit world. And yes, I know that's a lot to consider. Just today, we're going to explain one of them the most. Posture number one. Let me show you that one. Now, in this example, you have the iris constitution that's defined in the Rayid terms as a shaker. A jewel and a flower existing in the same constitution produces a personality of somewhat of a driven or mobilized. Their primary language is movement or change. That's why they're called shakers. They're always moving and changing. They like mobility. Now, this one eventually has a relationship to its opposite called stream, and that is a downwardly cohesive holding pattern. So the shaker is opposite the stream pattern, and it mobilizes. So in this sequence of postures, we seek to align our change along a central axis. This central axis, corresponding to the blue line inside, is your spinal column, spinal cord, and we're suggesting that we can experiment with aligning our central axes to the longest distance or something more mobilized. So in this posture, we're describing the upward mobility of what the hands look like, and we will show you other diagrams that each one of the placement of the arms is 22 degrees from there, and the arm comes in. There's a series of exact angles, even in the fingers or where the thumb is. And for the average person, it's like your hands not down below, not at even, but just slightly above. And if you look at it from the side, it's just slightly forward, and the hand is just slightly off the angle from the arm, and the fingers are slightly 22.5 degrees off of that pattern. So both hands, and then the head goes tilted back to the same direction as if you're waiting to catch a ball about this size. This now produces the triangle that you see that goes out into a 45-degree triangle with no boundary at the top. It's coming down. I'm now holding it in perspective of my hands. And I only hold this posture myself for no more than 10 or 15 seconds. And later we'll describe how this posture is linked to the feeling that's primarily of receiving. Yes, we're intentionally creating an environment where the natural energy of something that goes up, like all living things on Earth, have a tendency basically to evolve in some direction or to accelerate what science would call in the direction of dark matter. So the orientation of the Earth is tilted at 22.5 degrees as it travels around the sun, always pointing in the same direction. That direction is, when you combine it, it's 22.5 degrees. It creates a cone-like feeling at the top of the head, which is a cone-like process of 45 degrees. So I'm saying that there is a lot of intended thought process, a lot of willingness to be in harmony with the long-term plan of the divine. Eventually, this is designed to be a postural recognition of the broadest experience of the universe. The smallest experience of the universe is also here. That's called me becoming aware of myself. I become aware of myself involved in a family. Then I become aware of myself involved with other people. That has degrees of community or country, but it also has a degree that's related to being global. So there is a presence inside me that appreciates being an individual. I have to do that myself. There's a presence inside of me that has to cooperate with the group. The first group is family. Second group is community. But the community also has a country. When it goes into the boundaries of others, it says, I'm going to include the boundaries of all other people on earth. I'm going to use this posture to include myself, my family, my community, my country, and all other humans on earth. So it starts out with earth, myself, physical body, and earth. So that's posture number one. Inside of that posture is going to be two more gates. What I mean by that is that there is always going to be octaves of three: self, others, and all. One part of this self is, I'm an earthling. Yes, I know that's true. I'm an earthling, but what's not yet acknowledged is I'm part of a larger group that is a galaxy. Yes, I'm part of an earthling who's part from this solar system. We are all connected without knowing it, or at least not without acknowledging it, that we're connected to a galaxy that, in all likelihood, very strong probability, has other life forms in the Milky Way galaxy. So for a moment, I'm going to acknowledge that I'm part of a larger diameter of inclusiveness that starts out from my family, goes to my community and country, goes to the globe. That's what I call a five. That's a global recognition. Now we're going out to a larger recognition, which is the solar system's relationship to the galaxy. One more step. That galaxy is one of trillions of galaxies. So the last diameter is the universe. So in this posture, I'm experiencing the universe, the galaxy, and the earth. And I'm putting myself posturally in a place to align my spinal cord to the center of the solar system, galaxy, universe. And along this line, I am choosing to acknowledge the divine intelligence. You can use whatever manner of faith or understanding that you might have. You can use anything you want to call this creator, divine feminine, masculine, God, Yahweh, whatever you want to call this, you can. It's a momentary acknowledgement as I'm feeling it coming down into my body, and it produces a triangle that ultimately goes down to the bottom of my torso and is inclusive of my coccyx. So my coccyx, this radiation of this triangle going up, some people like to maybe call this the Holy Spirit funnel if you want, but it's a postural expression utilizing my free will to align my physical experience to the design of the creator. I know that's a lot. This is the explanation on the most basic level of what this posture represents to me. And I'm sharing that because the goal is for a group of 25 people at their own timing and rhythm and their own place of living. They periodically, ideally, go every 2 hours to this posture and the other sequences of the posture. They have a feeling of the first posture. They go to the second posture, they have a feeling. They go to the third posture, they have a feeling. They go to the fourth posture, they have a feeling. They go through all four of these energies in physics. They go through all four of them with their physical body and their feelings, while simultaneously acknowledging that they are part of a group. Yes, we're all part of the group called Earthlings. Yes, we're all part of a global group, whether we acknowledge it or not. This group of 25 people is intentionally willing to acknowledge something that's already true. They're part of a group. We do influence each other, not just with the weather, not just with the oceans, not just with the land, not just with our food. We influence each other's lives by the belief systems that we hold and we continuously transmit. We affect each other. This group of 25 is going to do that with acknowledgement of what's true. We affect each other, but we're also choosing to make a community inside this larger global group. So now we're producing a community group designed to feel and share with the other members of the group a feeling of inspiration, aspiration, emotional support, whatever you really want to make it in that moment. You can call it love, you can call it acknowledgement, you can call it awareness, you can call it compassion if you want. But for now, I prefer to use it just as a feeling of inspiration and thankfulness. So I want to acknowledge the other members of the group. Ideally, I would do that once every 3 or 4 hours or once a day. I just want to acknowledge them while I'm practicing this and be willing to give and receive, because the giving and receive of the reality of our relationship opens another gate. Mankind has become global. This is an acknowledgement that we are global. We always have been global without really maybe knowing it or practicing it. So this group is designed to now facilitate this actually occurring physically. So that's the explanation of the very first posture. Yes, there is an energy in the shaker that goes naturally upward. The result of that is it naturally brings energy down. If you look at this arrow on this side, it's composed of a powder blue, which is the men from the mother's side of the family. It's composed of the red, which is the men from the father's side of the family. And the purple is essentially the combination of the blue and the red. This is the upwardly mobile force of what I choose to do with my free will. The result of my acknowledgement of that is actually bringing in the increase of the downwardly mobile life force designed to come down to the lower part of my torso and eventually be assimilated, felt, and utilized for my physical health, my mental or emotional health, and it's designed to be able to be shared with other people. That sharing has a single feeling with it, inspiration. What I'm wanting to do for myself within this group is to be in harmony with the design of creation. For me, all of us started out as an inspiration. All of us and our existence as souls, we are inspirations of the divine. So the first expression of this that we would like to do individually and with the group is to act together as a whole to transmit inspiration and perhaps some gratitude for the existence of all other children, men, women, middle-aged, older people on earth, every living being, every living thing on earth, to be supported by this outpouring of inspiration within this one group. So yes, there's a lot to this first posture, and we will show it in a little bit about how it's related to the second, third, and fourth posture. Thank you for your loving patience. I appreciate all of you. Have a good day.